So, if Little Red Riding Hood should show up with a bazooka and a bad attitude, I expect you to chin the bitch. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are reviewing the modern werewolf classic, Dog Soldiers. Written and directed by Neil Marshall, who also directed the modern horror classic, The Descent. So guys, this film is definitely a modern werewolf classic, chock full of great action, some great scares, some awesome blood and gore, and amazing practical special makeup effects. And you don't see that too often these days. Now, this film came out in 2002 at the time when there was a lot of CGI going on, you know. So it was real refreshing to see a film that was all practical blood and gore effects and awesome creature design by the special makeup effects artists in this film. And they just do a fantastic job. They were obviously inspired by The Howling, I would say. The creatures are kind of similar to that, you know, big, huge, hulking, 7-foot-tall monsters, beast, you know. Which is the kind of werewolf I want to see, which is awesome. That's why one of the reasons I love The Howling so much. So at any rate, this is a British horror film, and it stars Kevin McKidd, who plays Private Cooper in the film, Sean Pertwee, who plays Sergeant Wells, and Liam Cunningham, who plays Captain Ryan, leader of the Special Ops. So the film actually begins with this young couple who are out in the woods in a tent, and they're kind of having a romantic, you know, getaway for the night, you know, chilling in the woods. But they are attacked by an unknown assailant, you know. I also have to note that the woman gives the man a silver letter opener, you know. Knowing the history of werewolf lore and werewolf movies of the past, you know that's going to come into play some point in the film. Anything involving silver, you know, if you know your werewolves. At any rate, yeah. So the young couple is attacked brutally and viciously murdered by an unknown assailant. It's obviously some kind of beast. You can hear it roaring, you know. But we don't know yet what that is. And then we meet a group of British soldiers who are on a training exercise, you know, almost like war games kind of in a way, you know, to train themselves, you know, to become, in case there was a war, you know, and they're loaded with guns, but they're all blanks and everything. And the reason the film is called Dog Soldiers is because at one point in the film, Kevin McKidd's character, Private Cooper, is forced to shoot a dog in cold blood by Liam Cunningham's character, Captain Ryan, and he refuses to do so, so that's kind of why the film is called Dog Soldiers, I would think. And yeah, Liam Cunningham in this film is a real badass, bad apple, I would say. He's kind of the human villain of the film. He's the leader of the Special Ops. So he ends up, you know, failing Private Cooper and sending him back to the regular unit, you know. So yeah, while they're on this training exercise in the middle of the woods, the forest, you know, perfect setting for a war-type scenario, they end up running into these monsters, you know, the werewolves. So shit gets real quick, and they have to put live rounds in the bullets and prepare for a real war, and a war against the werewolves. So it's a really cool setting, you know, almost like The Predator in a sense, mixed with The Howling and Werewolf in London and stuff. So it's a really cool mashup of kind of the both genres, as well as kind of the typical war film as well. You get lots of soldiers, interaction, soldier talk, you know, bravado. It's really fun. It's really It's got amazing action, I must say. Probably the most action-packed werewolf film, I would say. Like I said, I can't say enough about the practical effects in this film. I love that. And you just see blood and guts and gore everywhere. And it's amazing. Very brutal. Probably the most brutal werewolf movie, I would say, you know. It does not skimp on the red stuff. So what happens is, you know, as the soldiers are picked off one by one by the werewolves in brutal fashion, Sergeant Wells actually does get caught, and he ends up getting gutted, basically, you know, and you see him there with his guts hanging out, and at one point he's like, "My guts are showing," and the other guy's, "Well, we'll just put them back in." So it's awesome. There's so many great lines, and like one guy's like, "Christ on a bike." And then one guy's like, "I'm gonna grab a girl and watch the footy." Obviously they're talking about soccer, you know. I'm an American, so I couldn't find some of these puns funny, you know. But at any rate, there's so many great lines in the film. But yeah, what happens is several of these soldiers that do survive get away, and they meet this woman named Megan, who is like a zoologist, and she takes them to seek refuge in this like abandoned house. So the soldiers hole up in that house, and you get kind of the Night of the Living Dead scenario where everyone's trapped in this house, and the werewolves are out the door pounding, trying to get in, you know, and they end up having some epic battles, you know, once the werewolves do, of course, eventually make it inside the house. And this one guy has a really intense battle with him. And it looks like he's going to get the upper hand because he really uses his soldier training. And he just throws everything at the werewolf. He throws everything in the kitchen sink, literally. Like knives and everything that's in the kitchen, throwing pots and pans at it. But and he looks like he's going to get the upper hand on this werewolf and actually kill it. But of course there's a second werewolf in there who grabs him by the claws and pushes him up against the wall, and the guy's like, "I hope I give you the shit, you fucking wimp," and he like spits in his face. It's classic. And of course he gets mauled brutally. Once he gets killed, I mean, he gets killed. And when next time you see, there's nothing but guts on the floor and intestines spilled all over the floor. It's amazing. So guys, I definitely highly recommend Dog Soldiers. It's an amazing werewolf film with amazing action, amazing practical effects, and awesome direction by the legendary Neil Marshall, who, as I said, also directed The Descent, which is also a modern horror classic. So he cuts his teeth on this classic werewolf film. So I highly recommend Dog Soldiers from 2002. Do whatever you have to do to get it. Get the Blu-ray, get the DVD, whatever. You just have to see this film. It's amazing. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.